Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
Love having her on because, well, first of all, anything can happen, and did last time we had her here. But she's somebody that has psychic ability. She's also a mentor to help you realize that you have ability and how to hone in on those skills. And her name is Danielle Anatra. Welcome back. How you doing?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me again.
So yeah, last time we got together, it was the beginning of the Mercury retrograde, which we're in right now. And
Yes.
your video started freezing up, and then
Yep.
we were almost done, and then you were gone, and I
Yep.
couldn't get you back. You couldn't get back online. Just freaky stuff. But this is, and we are going to talk about signs of you having a psychic experience in a moment, but signs that you're dealing with a Mercury retrograde are just what we just described, where communication goes crazy, technology gets wonky. Um, and I never believed it until I talked to somebody like you back in the day. I think it was probably, gosh, 2010 that somebody, I mean, I heard about it for years, but that's where it's like, oh, okay, this stuff is real. Like these things during these three periods during the year, typically 3 weeks in
Mhm.
2022, technically four periods as it
It
crossed into.
could be, yeah. It's
Yeah.
anywhere from it could actually Mercury retrograde could you could experience that anywhere from 2 to 4 times a year. So we've been very lucky that we've gotten it so much in the past few years. And I
Lucky? Are
don't
you
know.
are you sure we want to go with Lucky?
Well, you know what? It depends on how you look at it.
Okay.
During Mercury retrograde, well, when Mercury is retrograde, it just means that the planet is kind of it's slowing down. It's not stopping or going the opposite way or anything like that. It's slowing down. And it slows, and when we slow down, we start to see more. We start to see with more clarity, we start to see more. So Mercury retrograde could actually be a really beautiful thing if you work with the energy, and I'll explain how to do that in a minute. But I'm talking about the things that don't go so great all the time. You shouldn't make it's a time to really reflect and think about what you want to do or what you're doing. Um, it's not a good time to make any major purchases, or make any major decisions, any big decisions. It's a time to like sit back and reflect on those things. Um, if you want to go on vacation, being on vacation during when Mercury is retrograde is a great time to be on vacation, but it's not a good time to book a vacation. Like if you're actually going through the motions of booking the trip, I
Hmm.
wouldn't book your flights or anything like that during Mercury retrograde. But to be on vacation, to book the trip beforehand and then being on vacation during that time is a really great time because you don't really have to make a lot of decisions. You don't really have to think about a lot of things. Um, I try not to buy into the whole Mercury retrograde thing too much because you don't want it to be obsessed with it and have it affecting your life and things like that. But it is a good explanation why a lot of things happen. Like you might have a lot of electronical glitches, like we did last week. I lost power the last few minutes of the thing. The day before that, my husband, the power went out for like an hour and a half. He had, while he was trying to work online. So you have a lot of computer glitches. Might get locked out of programs, like things like that happen. Ways that you could really use Mercury retrograde to your advantage is it's a learning. Mercury is the planet of learning and expansion and all that good stuff. It's just higher learning. So during this time, you have to be mindful of the things like the issues I'll say that are coming at you. Like for instance, if you don't spend money correctly, right, and you constantly have like this weird relationship with money, and it's something that you need to learn, that's what the universe is going to try to teach you. So it's going to keep taking money. All right, how are you going to handle this? How is your energy handling this? So it's just about recognizing it and just handling one thing at a time. Because what happens is everything kind of snowballs on you and you get overwhelmed and nobody wants to handle anything. So it's just about handling one thing at a time and having patience with it and going through the motions. And then, if you learn what you need to learn, then you're not going to get tested again. It's kind of like a test of the universe. Has this person learned what they needed to learn? Like, for instance, if you are in a really toxic relationship, right? You might have stuff hit the fan, like like even more so when Mercury is retrograde, because it's the universe telling you like how much you're going to take before you get out of this relationship.
Hmm.
How much are you going to take before you could say, all right, I deserve more for myself, and you better yourself. So if you learn from it, you're going to have really great retrograde periods when Mercury's there. So you just have to tackle one thing at a time and really choose to learn from the lesson that's getting presented to you.
It seems to me outside of the technical glitches that take place,
Hmm.
and I try not to read into it, but then I say, all right, well, why didn't that happen 3 weeks ago? Why is it only, why is it happening now during the retrograde? If you factor those technological wonky things out,
Yeah.
all the other things seem to be the things that you should be mindful of anyway, like
Yeah.
communication. You're going to send an email. It's often been said during retrograde that you should double check the way you wrote your email. The
Right.
text, what did I mean to say? Am I actually saying it before you hit send? All those things, like you just said, in terms of money, being a little
Right.
bit more mindful of how you're spending, what you're doing with money. Um, Probably should be doing those things anyway. I will
You
say
should
this,
be doing them. Yeah, you should be
right?
doing them anyway, but it all happens at once though. My an old neighbor of mine, she bought these windows that she needed. They're like, basically floor to ceiling windows, and she spent like probably $6,000 to $8,000 on these windows, and she bought them during retrograde. And it was so funny because every time Mercury went retrograde again, her windows leaked when it rained, and
Oh
she had
my
to get somebody
gosh.
to keep coming in and doing, because she made this major purchase. One time she bought a car during retrograde. I kept telling her car broke down. I said, just wait. I said, I'll drive you anywhere you need to go. Just wait a few weeks, because it was like right at the beginning. I said, you just have to wait. You have to wait till after. And she just couldn't wait. And she bought this car. She had issue 2 days after she bought the car. It was like an issue. Like, the
Hmm.
button didn't work. She couldn't get into the car. Another day I come home, and something happened. I see my husband like hanging off her car, like trying to do something, and I walked in, and she just shook her head and went inside and laughed at me, and like went inside, because she knows, like, like, why did I do this? And then every retrograde something broke down with the car or something
That's
happened,
good.
until she finally just got rid of
I've
it.
never,
But
Danielle, I've never heard that before of
yeah,
things happening during the retro, reoccurring things with something
yeah.
that, was born. Like,
Yeah.
call it the
She's
birth of
so
the car.
funny.
You got
I
the
know
card.
she was so funny. Like, I just feel bad. She got like the brunt of the retrograde. Like, no one I've
Mm.
ever met in my life. And she goes, I must be born on a retrograde. She's
I haven't done that, but I briefly did it, but it's not as easy to do. I'm glad you brought that up.
Mhm,
To look back at those things that happen in your life, that momentous events,
mhm.
whatever they may be, um, and if it happened during a retrograde.
It's funny, like if you're born during Mercury retrograde, that's not a bad thing. I mean, it's like when the conception was, because that's like when the contract was signed, kind of,
Oh,
So it would be that. But it's still like, I mean, people have free will and they make decisions for
sure.
themselves. So I don't, nobody should get worried if they were conceived on a retrograde or anything like that. It not necessarily was a bad decision, but maybe the relationship between the parents didn't work out or something like that. But
Mm.
this it's all a learning experience, and when we choose to learn whatever we need to, we do. So
Honey,
um
honey, want to meet me in the bedroom? No, it's a retrograde. Okay.
see,
Really?
Andy, you can't get that crazy with it. That's why it's always like, don't let it affect your life, but just be more mindful. And if an issue is thrown at you, it's just showing you what you need to learn so that you can better yourself and better your life. So it
Mm.
really is a good thing.
Absolutely. And if you can, and final thoughts on this, if you can avoid certain things, then avoid them. Like you said,
Right.
don't buy a car, don't buy a house. The big purchases, if you can put it off a few weeks, whatever. I've done it. Elective surgery. If you don't have to have it during the
Right.
retrograde and it's all good, move it, another date. And
Mhm.
and even court situations I've been
Oh
involved
yeah.
in, and where another party was doing something or filing whatever, and it was during the retrograde, and inside I'm like, This is great.
You'll get served during retrograde. Like if you have an outstanding lawsuit or something pending, you're going to get served during retrograde. Like that stuff, that stuff will
Yeah.
happen. That will, that'll come up because it's helping you tie up loose ends or things that you're
Yep. Yep.
avoiding.
Just be aware. That's
So,
it. All
yep.
right. So we're turning the car here, the astrological psychic car, to signs that you've had a psychic experience. And we started last time we got together talking about that. And you are somebody with psychic medium ability, but you also help people harness that ability, learn that
Yeah.
they have it, how to work with it. We hit up some signs before. Want to continue on the list?
I do. I do. I don't remember really where we left off, but because we kind of went into so many side stories, which I love. So I'm gonna pick up where I think we left off. So if I
Sure.
repeated myself and you were listening last week,
It's a
then
recap, people. It's a
it's a
recap.
recap. Mm.
And I don't remember either because I was worried about the technical issues we had due to
I know. I
retrograde.
couldn't even. I usually will mark off where I left off, and I forgot to do that
No
again.
worries.
So, well, anyway, we were talking about so many things. So I love doing readings. I enjoy the events and I enjoy private readings and I enjoy all of that. But what I really, really makes my heart happy is mentoring and watching people better themselves and they like watching them get it. All this inner work, all that self-improvement work is really what helps your gifts grow. People always like, what, I get to a point and I feel like I plateau with my gifts and I want to get more specific or I want to get more evidential or I want to get better and I want to have all these experiences. But the inner work is where that all happens for you. Like the inner work is the difference between being a good medium and a great medium. And
Hmm.
when you don't have all this crap like cluttering your mind and you could think more clear, you have a better connection to spirit.
How do you
You
clear?
know,
How do you clear your
how do
mind?
you, well, it's that's such an open question. It's so many, there could be so many answers, but I'll try to sum it up best I can. So to clear your mind, you have to be able to jump from where you are to where you need to be. Like if you, let's say you had an issue with like your spouse in the morning and you guys were fighting and you come into work, like you could be really great at your job, but don't you ever have a bad day? Because you have other stuff going on that's kind of taking over your mind, right? But if you're able to push that out of your mind and really just focus on your current moment and be able to jump from whatever emotion you're feeling to your current moment, that's when you can really clear your mind. That's why they say meditation is good and things to make your mind meditative and anything that you can do to clear your mind. Music can do that for you. That's like a big thing for me. If I need to clear my head, I have to do that. And it's practice, like jumping to where you have to be. Do you ever have like an issue going to sleep because you have so much stress and so much stuff going through your
Oh yeah.
mind that you can't sleep? You have like just a million things going through your head. It's about clearing that so that you could sleep, and the same thing, clearing that so that you could do a reading. The more of the inner work, some people can just snap their fingers and be there, and that's wonderful. I usually can when I have to do a reading, and I have something to focus on. It's about being able to switch your focus to the current moment and not what happened in the past, going back to that when it's in front of you again, but switching to the current moment. I could have a really crappy morning and then come on here and say, okay, I'm good, because now I'm in a new moment. I'm in a new area. So it's just about jumping like from where you need to be and practicing being in the current emotion. I mean, in the current moment, like what does my emotion right now match my current moment? Or am I still angry about something from before?
It's
You
almost. I
know,
guess that's what they mean by being present.
present, right?
Yeah.
It's a work. Like I have people come to me to mentor, like not just because they want to do readings, but they want to be better at their job. They like I have my highest mentoring client, the highest amount of mentoring clients I have are psychologists or therapists or something in that field because they are very intuitive and you
Hmm.
can't give a reading when you're in a therapy session, but you want to be able to ask the right questions so that the people can, kind of have that revolution for themselves. So So they come in to do their job, how they could ask questions and do their job better while they're using their intuition. So, nurses too, nurses are a big client as well, because a lot of times these nurses are healers and they use their intuition. They walk into a room and they just know what's wrong with the patient before they even look at the chart.
Wow.
They could feel it. So, they want to really hone in on their intuition when they're doing their job. So a lot of people who don't want to be readers but want to improve their own intuition just for their own purposes, for their own work, I get a lot of that.
That's so
Um,
cool. I,
yeah,
I'm
it's
just,
awesome.
I love that. Can we, I mean, we're gonna pivot a little bit over here, but
We always pivot. It's
I
okay.
know, but how about some of those occupations? I got to believe, I think I mentioned once before, an attorney. You want to know what
Oh
the other
yeah.
person is thinking, as you
But
represent your client in the other one.
that's a job that you have to do differently. You have to do that differently. And every job is different because, you know, um, you could have an intuitive idea on what's happening in the case, or who you feel like is going to win, or what you feel like is going to be done. But, your intuition isn't going to be the thing that holds up in court. You have to find the evidence. You have to use your intuition to find the evidence. I told you when I was working with a detective for a while, it was, the psychic said so doesn't hold up in court, even though they know it because their intuition tells them the same thing that
Sure.
my intuition's telling me. And we know who did it and we know, but you need to either find the murder weapon or find lead people to that kind of stuff,
Yep.
or give them another place to look and let authority do their job. So those are things that you have to work your intuition a little differently, and that's what they want to do. That's what they want to learn to do. So they usually come with some kind of direction on where they want to
It's
take the
almost like
mentoring.
it gives you an
It
edge on your job. And all you're doing is just, it's not, correct me if I'm wrong here, but it's not like you're showing them how to be a psychic. No,
No,
you're showing them how to use what's within them,
right.
your intuition, call it your gut feeling, how to
Hmm.
interpret that, how to feel that. Same thing, like you said, when the nurse walks in and sees a patient, she's got experience. She sees that patient. She might be
Hmm.
thinking, oh, you know what? Maybe they've got this. Maybe they're thinking this. Maybe it's this. But she could go right there a lot
Right.
faster. How about some other occupations?
Right. Let me think. Well, the nurses and the therapists are like the really, really big ones. Those are the
Mm.
ones that I probably like take up probably
How
90%
about
of
this one? How about
what I'm
this one?
doing.
And I don't know if you've worked with anybody in this capacity, but if you really want to be an ace salesperson,
Oh
you
yeah.
use your intuition to know what the other person is thinking, feeling, so that you can press their emotional buttons and
Right.
make the sale. And it's not like, hear me out here. Not like you're some sleazy salesperson trying to
No,
really,
yeah.
no, but you, if you believe in what you do and what you're selling, it's going to help that person, but that person can maybe have some blocks or
Right.
aversions to it, has to seem more logical to them. So if you can feel it psychically where to go with that, you can make them feel more comfortable and say,
You
yeah, you
can
know what, I'll do it.
definitely. And you know what? The thing with this work too is I don't believe in like sales tactics and things like that. But like you said, if you believe in what you're doing, your energy is going to sell that product.
Hmm.
Your energy is going to sell that product if you
Yep.
believe in what you're doing and you're having a great time doing it. People are seeing you have a good time doing it. People are feeling that you're genuinely having that good time doing it,
Yep.
and it's happening. I did a TikTok video the other day on my page because I my kids, they are always fighting. My daughter's 7, my son's 11, and they're always fighting.
Mine are 14 and
And
16 and they're always fighting.
so it doesn't end then.
Apparently not.
Okay.
Sometimes,
So they're always fighting, and you know what? That's fine. If you don't want to like each other, I'm not going to try to make you like each other, but you have to be kind to one another, and you have to get along. And there's certain things you can do and certain things you can't do. Okay, and I try to teach them, kindness all the time. So both of them they're go-getters. I mean, they're very big go-getters, and they both wanted to. We're in Vegas right now, and they both wanted to go to Fremont Street. It's infamous for like street performers and like little souvenir shops. It's kind of like walking down New York City almost.
hmm
And they have these black circles on the street, and you're allowed with a registration from the city, you're allowed to stand in these circles and have you can't really set a price on things, but you could sit there, you can earn tips and stuff like that. And my kids are like, they always see people doing that when we go there, and they're like, we want to dance, and they're not performers. Okay, but they're like, we want to go there and dance. So I said, okay guys, we'll go. It's very easy to get a registration. So we went there for the first time the other day, and they were fighting that whole morning, they were fighting the whole way there. And the reason I wanted them to go is because I wanted them to get along. I wanted them to find a common interest and do something together where they could work together and have a good time. And that was like in my head, that was my goal. So we get there, they're dancing separately, like in the circle. He's doing the robot, she's doing something else, and it like, it doesn't mesh. And you could feel them like not liking each other. You really could, like, he's like, you're in my way, get out of my way. They're fighting, like everyone's walking past them, they're making no tips. And I'm just like, I went over to them and I said, guys, I said, people are just walking right by you. I said, because you're fighting. I was like, your energy isn't good towards one another. I said, if you work together, you get a lot more when you work together. I was like, you have to change your energy. And I always talk to them about energy, so they understand that. And they still like did separately for a little while. And then all of a sudden, they started like spinning together. He's picking, like, she's jumping in his arms and he's spinning around, and everybody starts, like, people that are walking by like, oh my god, they're so cute, they're getting money like hand over. I was just like, oh my god, I couldn't believe
Wow.
the amount of money they made. And in just such a short, we were only there for like 40 minutes, but they changed their energy, and they saw how how well it worked out. So I feel like I got my lesson across. They didn't fight on the way home, it was very nice. And and the rest of the day they were upstairs when we got home, and they were practicing their routine for next time. So they were just, and they were working together the rest of the day. So I thought that was really cool. And you can change your energy, but the thing is, it doesn't matter how little they are or how cute they are. Like, people feel that energy. They're either going to walk by you,
Yep.
or they're gonna want to see what you're doing. And people were starting to watch them. People were starting to sit there and like watch them, like, dancing and just having a good time with each other. And I'm like, you guys see, like, it was just something that they had to learn for themselves. So you can change that
So a couple of
energy.
points here for those who are skeptical.
Mhm.
Some would say, well, they were just cute kids and they were just acting like they were together. Um,
Right.
but it's deeper than that
It
because
is.
they were projecting it and feeling it. And I believe it's a lot easier for kids to really project energy because there's less things blocking it out than adults have. Less
Right.
distractions. It just it
Right.
as much as they scotch each other all the time,
Oh yeah.
it flowed like they were jiving together, they were gelling together, it was
Exactly.
working at that moment, and people pick up on the energy. So
It's
from
true. And
kids.
you know what? I'm not a very salesy person. I'm really not.
Me too.
I do my job. And people find me, I work off referrals. The only things that I will put online that I'll market is if I'm doing classes, because people need to know that they exist, and people have to know what I do. And I put it out there, and I can tell you, if I am like, I put something out there and then I forget about it and I have a million things going on, I'm not giving it any energy, I'm not getting like the hype and everything like that with it, then I'll have to reschedule or cancel the course because I'm not having any signups. But the second I put my energy there and I'm like, I'm excited, I'm not calling people, I'm not like, oh, you guys got to do this, you guys got to do that. Like, but once like my energy's in it and I'm into it, the signups, I'm like, I don't even know where these people come from. It's like you can switch your energy like that. Like, people don't realize how easy it is to just
Hmm.
switch your energy and that's why it's like, get excited about the things that excite you. Be happy when you're happy. And if you're feeling upset or sad over something, allow yourself to feel that, but move on.
And be
You know?
genuine. Be genuine. Like the
Yeah,
intent has to come from within.
exactly.
You can't be a
Exactly.
phony. It's got to be
You
real.
can't, like, when I'm teaching my classes, like I had these weekly classes I used to teach, and like I would go on, and I would just tell the girls sometimes, I have to cancel class tonight. I need a minute, I need a day, or I come on and I'm just like, I'll tell them a story of something that I learned, and I'm like, I didn't handle it very well, but now I handled it differently, and this is what's happening. And I'm very real with them. I'm very real
Mm.
about my victories and around the things that don't work out so well for me. And they're my students are my biggest teachers too. Like sometimes they'll jump in and offer me something, and I'm just like, thank you for bringing me back to that, because sometimes we have to go back to the basics. We have to go back to the beginning and kind of reset our energy, reset ourselves, and everyone's my teacher, and that's the way, you never
Yeah.
know everything. So it's really, really cool. I love teaching. I really do. I
I'm
love
glad we
teaching.
talked about this today because
Mhm.
it even opened my eyes up to how beneficial. And if somebody, thinks the word psychic is, doesn't work for them,
Oh my God.
you're in
I tell
you're in
everyone. Yeah. It's like you think, when you think, I hate the word psychic because you think of like the beads and the incense and the big blinking neon sign and
right.
all that stuff. And I'm like, I'm just a normal girl.
Yeah, right. Oh, well, okay, you're a mentor, but all right, people, we're gonna change channels. Are you? She is somebody who can help you with your intuitive ability and use that to harness it in your career. All right, so it's the same kind of thing.
Same
Uh,
thing.
it happened, and
Hmm.
what is that? We got through this entire podcast without any technical glitches, a la retrograde. So I don't want to jinx it.
No,
um, I
we're
want to
doing
tell
good so
everybody
far.
how do they reach you?
Right. You can go to my website, danielleanatra.com. It has my email, phone number, all that stuff on there. And something really cool that I have coming up is a clairvoyance class. We're working on our psychic sight and how to see and interpret what we're seeing from spirit. That's on January 21st from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern time. It's going to be live on Zoom, so you could do it from anywhere. Anywhere, no matter what state you're in or whatever you're doing, you could sign up for that under my events on my page. But I'm really looking forward to doing that class. It's one of 6 programs that are going to be released each month. So I'm really excited about it. It's the first time I'm doing all of these separately and not together. So I can't wait for it.
I can feel your energy.
Thanks.
I really can. I can feel it, that it's coming through. Like you are really proud of this
I
and
am. I
it
can't
can
wait.
and it's beneficial for people and can be life-changing.
It is.
Again, when we talk about, mentoring your psychic ability, it's just giving you an edge in
It
whatever,
is.
career you have.
People don't even realize that they're seeing like spirit is giving this to them, and so when people realize like this isn't you thinking it, this is spirit, they're like, oh my God, it's like their whole life makes sense,
Mhm.
so
But you
it's
got to
pretty
know
cool.
how to, how you need
You
to,
have to
I'm not,
recognize it.
you have to, thank you. That's the word. I didn't want
Yeah.
to say know how to do it because all you're doing is
No.
just doing what you're doing, but you need to block everything else out
Yeah.
and realize that it's there and that you are
Hmm.
getting it for a reason. But we can't do that alone.
You
We need,
can't.
somebody like you, a professional. Your
Mhm.
last name is Anatra. So Danielle
Yes. Right.
Anatra.com, right?
Yes.
Awesome having you with us. And
Thank you so much.
is it okay, forget Happy New Year. Is it okay to say Happy Retrograde?
Sure.
I don't know. Is it an oxymoron? I don't know. I was gonna text somebody that is aware of retrogrades. I wasn't really sure if it works, but you know what?
Well, you know what? Why not send them good wishes?
Yeah.
Where retrograde is over on January 18th,
All
and
right.
you'll start to see it ease up as we go. Like, I mean, I'm leaving on a flight in a few hours. I have to go on a work trip, and I'm like, I love doing my work trips during retrograde because it's like, you're kind of half on vacation, half working, and
Hmm.
it's really cool. It was booked beforehand, so I know there's not going to be any glitches. It's going to be a great trip. And if you just put that positivity forward, you're going to have
Yeah.
a good experience during it. So
Yeah.
just one
Enjoy
thing at a
that.
time.
And next time we get together, I want to know if the flights went on as scheduled. Just saying.
I
Just
will
kind of
let you
not
know.
being negative. I'm just curious. That's all it
No,
is.
I know. You know what? And I've had sometimes I have traveled a lot during retrograde. Sometimes I have like a little delay. I do,
Mm,
even if I book beforehand and everything like that. But there's a lot that goes into all that planning and all that, all doing things. But I've had some really nightmare experiences, and then I've had experiences that just flowed. I really
yep.
feel like it depends on your vibration where you're at. So,
Well, we'll catch up next time. Thanks a lot,
great.
Danielle.
Thank you, Steve. Have a good day.
Are you looking for even more of the podcasts and hosts that you love? The Podcast Business News Network is proud to announce that you now have even more ways to listen live. Check out the MyTuner Radio, online radio box, and Simple Radio apps on iOS and Android, or find us online. Search for Business News Network on mytuner-radio.com, or search Podcast Business News Network on streama.com and onlineradiobox.com/US. Take your podcast on the go and don't miss a minute of the action.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
Mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house. And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned.
This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.